pandemic, they can still be outside playing with their kids. They can be on the
Going
lake.
to school.
Going to school. There's all kinds of things here that they have that are not in cities like Chicago, Des Moines, Iowa. I have people from Colorado, California. I can't tell you how many people are here coming as refugees.
Yes.
It has been incredible. And they don't give a damn what they're going to do for work. They'll figure it out. Most of them have
It's driven
businesses.
small businesses to move here.
Right.
That is.
Well, that's what
We
I'm
brought
saying.
all of our businesses with us.
They're coming
And
here.
larger
and-
businesses will follow too.
Absolutely.
Manufacturing will follow.
It has no choice.
Isn't there one already in
but
Lake
to.
Ozark that
But it's
just?
because
Yeah.
you made
Yeah,
the
we
bold
have large companies
why they're
coming here.
That's why they're coming. You left us open. And I know a lot of people, everyone else wanted you to do what everyone else was doing because you left us open. I ask people, why are you here from Oregon? Like, do you have people that live here? No. Then why are you here? I saw you on the news.
Yeah,
It
I
looked
saw
pretty
you on
there.
TMZ.
As simple as that. I mean, so many people.
They didn't care.
Yes, sir.
Hi, so we moved here 5 years ago. My wife and I, we both work from home. We always have. We had the privilege of being able to go anywhere in America. And we spent years looking all over the country. And we landed on Lake of the Ozarks. And we came here and we visited and we found that the values that this community held were the same ones of liberty that mattered to us. And what this gentleman was saying about what's at stake here, the way that we avoid a catastrophe is by passing local ordinance that restricts the power of the government. That's the only way.
Yes, sir.
Several things I want to say. Number one, I believe in freedom. When you shut down all these restaurants, all these businesses, you're not stopping this virus. You're only delaying it. It's still there. All you're doing is just stretching it out and you're killing business. I personally feel like if you have a business and you want to open. If you're not comfortable going there, don't go.
That's right.
Look at all these restaurants that have suffered, and the bars, and all these other businesses nationwide. It's bringing this country down. Take a look at Sweden. Sweden didn't close down, and they survived quite well. Because there again, you cannot just shut down these businesses. It's still there when you open it back up. How long are you going to do this? That's all I got to say.
I agree with every word of that. Yes, sir.
If I say, I used to be a Fed, okay? I was in the military and retired. And when they order you to do something federally, you do it unless it's an unlawful order. We have our National Guard, we have our protection right over here. He's a sheriff. He's an elected official. He can enforce the laws. He can keep the feds out, but he needs the tools to do it. We gotta rethink this whole idea about the feds. When you talk about how much they're gonna charge us and what they're gonna do to us. You know, it takes like 25 years to get something built if the feds do it. You can put a businessman up there as president and he can get it done in a year. He can move, the embassy into Jerusalem, which they talked about for years and years. A joke that used to be in Russia was that the dam is going to be finished. Well, the dam started 20 years ago, and the feds still never got it finished. It's called inferred authority, and I've been on that end, where you order some civilian to do something for you, and you tell them where you came from. I'm a Fed. Oh, I'll do it right away. That's why we have the mask. There's not masks in these rooms right now. These are free people. They have responsibility. They know how far they can distance from someone. They know they're not supposed to put their hands in the mud and then go touch someone or anything. They're responsible people. The government works for us. And the buck should stop here. And that's why things like EPA, that is great that you did something about that.
Well, they ain't done anything about it yet.
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
telling you it's coming.
You got the backing for it. You can see a lot of it right here. And that's who the man we back right now to protect us. When he's gone, who's going to protect us? We got to make sure that it's in our Constitution. Thank you.
Young lady.
I'm just sitting here thinking back to when Tony was on CNN with Don Lemon. Tony and Chris. And the look you put on Don's face was tremendous, because you told him, this isn't my responsibility. This is not, it's freedom is not a crime in Camden County. Okay? And I think the ordinance in its original format basically reaffirms what Tony said on Don Lemon's show. It lays a foundation. It protects Tony, as well as protecting the citizens of Camden County. When Joe Biden decides to enforce the bump stock ban, which he can easily do, and they say, hey, Tony Helms, we need you to issue a warrant for this person in your county that we know has a bump stock, we've got that ordinance to protect Tony. We've got that ordinance to protect the people of Camden County. And I think the ordinance, just in its original format, like I said at the beginning, the 10th Amendment, and that's been confirmed by Ike and by Jim, there is nothing in the 10th Amendment or in the Constitution that gives the power to the federal government to commandeer the resources of our county, period. And that's all that needs to be said. The power rests at the local level. With we the people.
Okay, we've got a young lady, you're next.
Thank you. You said you support the ordinance. Do you support James's or Mr. McElroy's? Or what?
To be honest with you, I would really like to have an opportunity to have someone outside look at it in terms of its constitutionality. I think we're going to be okay with it, but I want to make sure it's clean when it's done.
Why don't we call out the founding fathers then and have them check it? Because they didn't have a freaking lawyer to look over those documents. I'm just saying.
We'll have Dave
I
Rowland
just,
look at it.
I am.
Don't you have to pass it today
Time is
to
of the
have the
essence.
protection of the county?
We really weren't planning on passing anything today. We just wanted to, all you folks are here. I want to hear what you got to say.
If
Can
you
I
do it
recommend a
after-
stellar attorney to look at it? I've got a great one. He's the top civil rights attorney in the state of Missouri. His name is David Rowland.
Agreed.
Time is of the
He's
essence.
a constitutional
He is a
attorney,
constitutional attorney.
And he's excellent.
The world changes
David
in
Rowland.
3 days.
David Rowland, Roland.
3 days from now, the world changes.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
There's a town in Georgia called Kennesaw, Georgia. Everyone should research it. They actually made an ordinance that a gun was required in every head of household in that city in Georgia because their crime rates were so high. You know what happened when they made an ordinance that a gun had to be put in every single household? Now, not every single household did it, but crime that was on the rise, there was a suburb of Atlanta, it went down the tubes. It's still very, very low. Ordinances like this can be passed. Refer to Kennesaw, Georgia, because they did it. And they did it in objection to an ordinance that was passed in Illinois that was later rendered unconstitutional. That was a gun ban in one of the county through an ordinance. But look at Kennesaw, Georgia. They required a gun in every household, and the crime rate dropped tremendously.
Same thing happened in every city where they passed concealed carry permits.
Yep.
So I just want to talk about a few things. With regard to businesses staying open, I don't think anybody has a right to tell you to close your business. The public is the judge and jury. If they think it's unsafe, or they think that they shouldn't be out, they won't go out. But if the people want to go out and they want to patronize that business, they need to have the ability to do that. And so, in my eyes, it's that simple. The public are the judge and jury of the economy. You're going to spend your money where you want to spend it, when you want to spend it. Second of all, everybody's been patting Tony on the back. I'm going to pat Tony on the back too. Tony was my CCW instructor, and I can assure you that there's not a person that has... This man will have a gun in his possession at any time, including the shower. You think I'm kidding, Tony? Am I lying?
No, you are not.
All right. That's who he is.
That's what
So-
stainless is for.
So I'm saying that just to give you an illustration that he is who he says he is. And we are fortunate to have him in this position, especially when they're coming after our rights. Now, there's several people in the room that know who I am. I'm not going to go into that, but I want to go back to when we relicensed the dam at the Lake of the Ozarks. Greg kind of made reference to the 1,300 homes that they were going to make us tear down. Private property, tear it down. We have seen overreach here before. We got that stopped. And it took a lot of work to do that. And one person didn't do it. It was a group effort. There's a lot of people in this room that were involved with that. Okay? I wrote a document called the Coordinated Land Use Plan that specifically addressed every point of the document, of the relicensing document, but did it in the light of Camden County. It never had to be filed because when they saw it, they said, we don't really want to deal with that. What do we have to do to get that done? And we had a community group that worked with them, and guess what? We didn't tear anything down. Not only did we do that, we got things in place where we could get land deeded to those people if they went. Now, there's always a process, but we saved those people's property. We saved their investment. This is the same type of thing. For anybody that says, well, all you're doing is reaffirming the Bill of Rights. Well, guess what? We had to reaffirm our land rights. You know, we've had to do this before. And so that's the reason that this has to happen. And it is as simple as just the Bill of Rights, okay? Because that's what it is. So, that being said, you know, and I understand where Greg's coming from too on the litigation. You don't want to burn a ton of county funds litigating something if you don't have to. But the other side of it is that if push comes to shove, you might have to. Okay, so there's a line in the sand somewhere, and these guys are the ones that decide where that line is in the sand. Hopefully with our input. And also I'm just going to go with regard to the 303D thing. You know, there was a clean water, I'm going to call it a clean water group down here. It was headed by the late Greg Gagno. He used to be the head of Central Bank. That group has tons of information showing why our lake doesn't belong on a 303D list. We're going on for nitrogen and phosphorus. I won't get into all of that if we go on. But part of it is we need a liaison as a county, whether it be the wastewater department, the commission, whoever gets delegated to do that. We have to make sure that we are liaisoning constantly with DNR, making sure, because they're the ones that have primacy. We do not have primacy.
I've got a great relationship with Department of Natural Resources, just saying.
So the rumor is, and I haven't had the ability to check it out yet, is that one of the reasons we're where we're at is because DNR either A, didn't file, or B, misfiled paperwork, testing, and other things that have put us further up in this process. So we need to try to work together. There's a lot of people in here I know that do great research.
I can make a call. I mean, I've got the director for our area's number. I know her very well.
Well,
so.
I've already had the conversations, and the reason why they're proposing that we be on the list is due to a couple of, they check this stuff every 2 years, and there was a couple of years where we had major flows out of Truman into the Lake of the Ozarks, and basically what the DNR is saying, what Ameren is saying, what the feds are listening to, is that because of those outflows, it caused an elevated level on Lake of the Ozarks, and specifically they are anticipating that we will probably come off that list unless we have big flows again.
Well, and the reason why those flows caused that is that the nitrogen and phosphorus levels in our lake come 95% off runoff.
And so, at any rate, that's where we're at on that. But you are correct. The incoming administration, in the previous Obama administration, they basically issued a executive order taking control of all the water that comes from the skies. And they determined that if you own a piece of property and you put a culvert on your property, if you don't have a EPA permit, $10,000 fine the first time. The day Donald Trump got into office, within a few days he signed an executive order rolling that back. And so I anticipate that will be back in place within a couple of weeks, that we're going to have to be dealing with. And what this has to do with, folks, is the waters of the United States. Prior to Obama, the waters of the United States were the navigable rivers of this nation. Under the Obama administration, the waters of the United States became any waters that run into the navigable rivers of the United States, which basically affects the rainwater coming out of the sky. So the federal government, through executive action, took specific control of your property and your property rights by claiming that whatever you do on your property has an effect on federal waters, therefore we have the authority. That's a fight that is coming, and it's coming probably sooner rather than later. Lake of the Ozarks is a target because we were open. And I've had one particular individual tell me whenever I brought this up, I took a little bit of flack from making a stand on this right away when I heard about it. But one particular individual, who I will not name, said, well, maybe it's a good thing that we have a countywide sewer system. Maybe we would have more capability here if we put all that in to expand our economy. So it's just a difference in points of view. Right now, a lot of politicians can say one thing or the other. This is my saying from 15 years ago. Fish don't lie, politicians do. And the fish say we're clean. So at any rate, I think that's coming down the road. This is parcel of what we're doing. Jim.
One more time,
George, you'll be next.
tying into what you guys are talking about, this whole EPA thing, because I think we're kind of getting the cart in front of the horse here. Is, what happens if we pass this, and are they going to come with all these restrictions? When everybody leaves here today, I want you to go to Google, pull up a map of the railroads in the United States in 1860. Just look at it. Nationwide map. And you know what you're going to see? All of the northern states are covered with railroads. But guess what? In the South, 2 or 3. Texas, 0. 0 railroads. You know why? Because the feds came in and said, we're going to build you a railroad. This is going to be good for you. We're going to come in and fix your water for you, right? Same kind of thing. And you know what Texas said? Hell no. As soon as you get in here and you build this railroad, you'll have control of it. You'll have control of our people. And they said, we're not going to do it. Pull that up. That's all I asked. 1860, the railroad map. And look who said we'll comply and who won't. There you go.
You're next, sir.
You just referenced executive order by past presidents. This is why we need this action today.
Yeah.
We have a new president coming in tomorrow. They have over 100 executive orders. We need action by our commission to protect us. You guys can go back, you can have it looked at, but I think you guys should bring it up as soon as possible, vote on it, and protect this county.
Yes. May I say something real quick? There is one little concern that I personally have, and you guys might too, in the wording, and it's just this, that I know oftentimes it said that these businesses shouldn't be shut down due to COVID-19. A lot of times it said due to COVID-19. We don't. COVID-19 is just coronavirus of 2019. What about coronavirus of 2021? Like, it needs to be more
Good point,
broad in
because
that.
it's
Needs to
be
be broader.
Right.
As well as
So,
the vaccine
could be
thing, I would like to
something
see that
totally
as
different
well.
once Biden. Yeah, I get it.
We talked about, like the sheriff's office having grants from the federal government, and the school district gets grants as well. Are those grants, when they are proposed to the government, ever put online or somewhere where we can actually read what's in the grant and what their responsibilities are going to be? If not, they should be, so we can help them make the decision whether or not they should get a grant.
Well, the sheriff's office has a lot of the grants, and Chris,
You want to go ahead and answer this?
Yeah, go ahead and answer.
Okay, so I do write a lot of the grants here. The wonderful thing about the grants is we see what the stipulations are before we apply for them. One of the biggest contributing factor that we do is how much do we owe the federal government if we're going to get this grant? And it's something Tony and I have to sit down and look at. You know, what kind of strings are attached to this grant? And typically, there are grants. I'm not going to lie. There are grants out there that say, okay, if you have this grant, you're going to have to do this and this and this and this. One of those is the Bulletproof Vest Partnership. So we got a grant for Bulletproof Vests for officers because they're about $800 to $1,000 a piece. I can't afford $90,000 a year or every 3 years for officers to get vests. So we get these grants through the BJA. One of the strings attached to it was you have to have a policy that says you will wear your vest. That is a concession we were willing to make because hey, if I'm going ahead and having my officers and buying them vests, I expect them to wear them. Okay. But there are some that says, you know, you'll take a policy on this stance or this stance, and we sit down and said, okay, Tony, here's where we're at. What do you want to do with it? Some of them don't even make Tony. Some of it's like, there's just no way I would even consider a grant like that. So all the grants are online. You can go to a cops hiring grant, and we do have grants, but we don't have a bunch of them. I mean, the ones that we have are like the domestic violence investigator. It's through the state. The majority of the grants we get are through the state. Now, let's fast forward. Federal funding gives some of those money to them. But there's not a lot of strings attached to the ones we get because it's just, I don't want to be beholden to the federal government on what we're doing. Plus, I don't want them to dictate how we're going to do our law enforcement here. So we get the ones that have least or no strings attached, and we deny the ones that we don't. You know, does that kind of answer your question? Yes. I don't want to try and talk in circles, but we take the money we would get it because somebody's going to get it anyhow. We'd just rather take it without the strings attached. So we don't go ahead. Go ahead.
Some of them I would love for you all to look at. We're currently trying to get our $312,000 for the school resource officer. I will tell you this, Chris Twitchell and even Greg Hasty has pulled their hair out trying to get this satisfied with the feds. I have talked to Chris. We have decided that we will not go back after that grant. What a shame. What a shame. But that is going to fund our schools so they don't have to pay for a school resource officer. You have no idea the difference that makes in our school systems and our communities. However, when they put so many restrictions just to draw the money down, it's ridiculous.
Well, what he's talking about restriction-wise, it's just they gave us this grant, but they gave us no guidance on how to get it all set up. So I've literally pulled what hair I have out, just trying to call, and of course, it has just expounded the problems with the federal government because they're all shut down. We're not. We're still here every day making phone calls. They're all remote learning, remote doing whatever they're doing. So everything I do is via email or via telephone if I can get it, because I'm a telephone guy. I don't want to talk to you via email. I need to know for a fact what you're telling me is true, so I want to hear it from you. There's grants that we do that we should have taken care of here soon. There's no strings attached, by the way, in that. The only string that was attached on that one is we had to hire a veteran. Check mark. You know, that was one I could get behind. We looked at body cams, about funding, how we're going to fund body cams, because we want transparency. We want our community to know what we're doing. We looked at the BJA one. They wanted us to change our policies and procedures, and chokeholds, and all this junk they wanted in there. And Tony and I talked about it. It's like, you know, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You know, they're taking away essentially our power to put policies in place in our department, and they're trying to dictate what we're doing. So we just weren't going to do it. So please understand, when we do this, they're all online. I'll be happy to start listing them every time we get them. But they're all online for you to read on them. we're gonna take what we can get without any strings, if that makes any sense.
I think in that vein, I think we need to take a look at the Seventh Court of Appeals ruling that just came down in April that basically told the federal government with sanctuary cities, which is what we're talking about here, is a sanctuary ordinance, that you can't force a county to let the federal government violate the 10th Amendment, in order to get the
cite
grant.
on that?
I can get it.